Today we're finally going to reveal the ancient Chinese secrets behind airbrush thinner. Yo dog, Kenny Boucher here, Next Level Painting, hitting you up on the literal best of all days here in the Beats Lab in Hollywood, California. I got another painting tutorial for you. Today we're going to be focusing on airbrush thinner and what it's used for. I get a lot of questions all the time. Yo, what's the difference between thinner and flow improver? We're going to cover that here today, real simple. I'm going to be showing you how to prime a model and how to thin out the primer and run it through your airbrush. I apologize in advance for how short this video is, but it is a small, concise studio tutorial. I'm going to have more exciting 8th edition content rolling out for you guys this summer. Give me a second here to shout out a couple of clutch individuals over on my Patreon page. My man Kyle, Gans, thank you guys. You came in clutch this week. Patreon's how I keep the lights on. Thank you guys. Of course, check out thelongwar.net. It's the home of the battle reports and all the breaking news on 8th edition. Let's do this thing, guys. Vallejo Surface Primer. This is an acrylic polyurethane. It's very tough, ghost gray. All right, here it is. Airbrush Flow Improver versus Airbrush Thinner. These are both Vallejo products. You guys ask me all the time which one I use. Mainly I use Airbrush Flow Improver all day or day. Thinner sucks. It's awful. Don't use it unless you're priming. It is an accelerator. It makes paint dry faster while thinning it down, whereas Flow Improver does the opposite, which is much more desirable because if your paint dries too fast, it will dry in the tip of your airbrush, causing those clogs and nightmares. Flow Improver will undo all those headaches. Now here we are using a little thinner in the base of the pot, pouring a little primer right in on top. Then we're going to pour a little water, and then we're going to use our patented gangster gumbo technique to mix it all together. Pretty easy stuff right here. I'm going to show you another technique I call priming the pump here, where we back the needle out, which opens the gate maximum. We're going to let some of that paint flow, make sure it's ready to go. And like I said, it is drying fast, and especially when you introduce a lot of air to it. So we're going to use our toothbrush to always keep the tip clean. Here we go. We're going to take this Carnoth Hunter and we're going to lightly apply. Oh, we had a spill. This happens when you don't use the cap on the pot, but I find it a lot easier to run without the cap, so sometimes you have spills. We're going to do a nice thin coat of primer. Now here's the situation. It's drying almost as fast as you're applying it because of the thinner and so much air, but you want to finish priming a model entirely so you don't have weird dry patterns, because we are still going to do 2 thin coats. Once you start, don't stop. That's kind of my tip of the day when it comes to priming models with your airbrush. We're going to get all the nooks, all the crannies, spin it around, but don't hyper focus because I'm going to do something special in stage 2. Now we're going to assembly line. I'm going to prime all my models. So here's the second Carnoth Hunter. I've got more than this lined up, but I'm only going to show you 2 so I don't bore you with the same thing over and over again. Just want to illustrate that you should be assembly lining your product, getting it out the door. This is just a pro tip for anybody. To basically work those hobby muscles out, as my best friend Robbie B would say over at Spiky Bits. I'm liking where we're at, getting a nice thin coat. We will be priming all the arms. They magnetized everything on these Carnoth Hunters. It's pretty fun. This is a huge project. Okay, stage 2. Here's our pot. We're going to introduce more water and thin it out a little bit more. You can thin this out for the second coats. This helps you sling it into those nooks and those crannies, and it's a little thinner so you don't get any buildup. So that's my pro tip. The second coat is going to be thinner than the first coat. That's how I like to work. I feel like it preserves the details and it seals up any spots I miss, because I'm really trying to force that paint into spots that it didn't reach with the first coat. It's really easy to build the paint up when you're doing that, so thin that motherfucker down. All right, now let's talk about something important after priming your airbrush. You're going to need to clean that motherfucker because it's dead to you. So we're going to use a little simple green concentrate, patented shot glass technique. I always keep my airbrush sitting in the shot glass like this and then rinse it out before I use it. You can go about a week before having to really deep clean it, but every time you run primer and airbrush thinner through your airbrush, you need to break it down. It's a disaster. It's going to cause a massive headache on the back end. Literally, shit's going to be drying, clogging. You're going to be cursing yourself. So just get in the habit of always breaking it down. Throwing it all in the concentrated green stuff mixed in with a little water. Let it sit in there. You let it sit overnight or just for, 30, 40 minutes, 10 minutes. It doesn't matter. Let it get inside of all those little areas. Then scrub it down.